This video is just going to be a quick instructional demonstration of how to fill out the worksheet. Now, this particular assignment that I'm giving here is very important for the concept of how to build the unit circle. So I'm trying to show you where all of the numbers, including the angles and the ordered pairs and the side lengths of triangles and everything all come from. So I'm going to walk through a couple of the examples, but then the intention is for you to do the other three for each of these diagrams. There should be 4 triangles total for each of them. So to walk you through the steps that I have here, notice that I'm describing all of the circles as having a radius of 1. So if I draw a dot at the origin and a dot anywhere on the end, I know that the distance connecting them should be a length of 1 because I'm saying all of these circles are radius 1. So step 1 is to draw a line connecting the dots or the tick marks that I gave you to the origin. For example, here's one of the dots I gave you. Connect it to the origin. Step 2 is to draw a line connecting the dots to the x-axis. Now notice I say it should be a vertical line only, so it shouldn't be going at any kind of angle or anything. I want you to go straight from the dot I gave you and make a vertical line down to the x-axis in this case. Sometimes you'll be going up, sometimes you'll be going down, but it should only be a vertical line you're drawing. Step 3 is to draw a line connecting those endpoints. I have 2 different lines drawn right now, so my next step is to connect them, and that's what creates a triangle. I tell you that this will make a triangle when you connect those endpoints. Step 4 is to fill in the angles, and I give you a hint here. Each triangle has a right angle where your horizontal and your vertical lines meet, so that will be a right angle. And then I also point out that the angle touching the origin is given for each of the figures. So if you look above the diagrams, I tell you what the central angle is. That means the angle at the center of the circle. So in this case, here's the angle touching the center of the circle. I'm telling you that that angle is 30 degrees, and we know that the angles in a triangle add up to 180. So if this one's 30 and this one's 90, that leaves 60 for this angle. So now I know that I have a 30, 60, 90. And remember, again, that the circle has a radius of 1. So I also know that this is a length of 1 at this point. The next step here, the step 5, state the ordered pair for each of the tick marks. To do that, we need to find the base and the height of this triangle. Now let me remind you that since this is a 30, 60, 90, we learned some special rules for if the hypotenuse is given, then you divide that by 2 to find the short leg. And if you know the short leg, you multiply it by √3 to get the long leg. So basically, we're going to be using these side triangle lengths a lot on the unit circle. So if the hypotenuse is 1, which I have because it's radius 1, I'm going to have a height of 1/2 and a base of √3/2. So those are the sides and the angles of my triangle. Now the step 5 is to actually state the ordered pair. So I want you to look at that dot that we started with and say, well, if the center of the circle is the origin, then how much did we move to the right and how much did we move up? Because that would be our x and our y value. Well, the base of your triangle will be the x value. So in this case, that's an x value of √3/2. And the height of your triangle will be the y value. So that's a height of 1/2. So that is the ordered pair for that dot there on the end. So I want you to do the same thing for the other dots that were given. As a hint, all of the triangles for each of the circles I gave you should be the same. All that's really going to be changing is whether you're going left and up or left and down. So some of the x and the y values may become negative instead of both being positive like on this case, because I was going right and up to find that ordered pair. Let me also point out that on the bottom right diagram, I tell you that you shouldn't be drawing any triangles on this one. So if you go back up to the original instructions, I say skip steps 1 through 4 for the circle on the bottom right. So just to explain that, you don't need to look at steps 1 through 4. You're just going to say, okay, what is the ordered pair for each of the tick marks or the dots on the graph going around the circle? Remember that it is a radius of 1. So if I picked the one going straight to the left, for example, if I know that this is a radius of 1, and if I'm treating the center of the circle as my origin, then this ordered pair would be an x value of -1 and a y value of 0. So you don't need to draw a triangle. You have less work to do on this one. I just want you to think, if it's a radius of 1, what's that dot, what's that dot, and what's that dot. The diagram here on the 60-degree one, by the way, when you're drawing your triangles, I will point out that it's still a 30, 60, 90. Because I'm still going to have a right angle where the vertical and the horizontal lines meet. The central angle is 60, so the one touching the center is 60, which means this is 30. We are still dealing with a hypotenuse of 1. So just be careful on this one because it's using the same side lengths, but make sure that you notice that the base is now the 1/2, because that's the side across from the 30-degree angle, and the height is now the square root of 3/2 value. Also be careful, since this one's going right and down for my diagram, that means my x value is a positive 1/2, and my y value is a negative square root of 3/2, because it is going down from the origin. So now let's look at the back briefly. What I have here is the angles and degree measurement that we use the most frequently when we're measuring things. These are the easy angles to work with on the unit circle. So I want to make sure that we also know all of these angles in radian mode. So the reminder for how to convert is right here on the diagram. You're going to be multiplying each of the angles I give you by pi over 180. So if I just pick one, for example, to work out, I have 45 degrees. I'm saying I want you to write out what is 45 degrees, and you can think of it as 45 over 1 if that helps you for multiplying the fractions, times pi over 180. Now remember, the reason this changes it to radian mode is because the degree symbols will cancel, kind of like if I have meters on the top and the bottom of a fraction, the units cancel. The same thing is happening here. So essentially I have 45 times pi over 1 times 180, and then we just need to reduce this fraction. If you need to reduce it in several smaller steps, that's fine, but 45 over 180, those are, 180 is divisible by 45, it's actually 4, so I would just get pi over 4. 45 times 4 is 180. If you need to divide it by 9 first and then go back and divide it by 5 separately, that's fine. So that is the conversion. I do want you to show your work on the diagram though. So hopefully that will help you in how to fill out the worksheet. And again, this will be instrumental and very helpful in us filling out the unit circle together later on.